this is the reason why I invite two of them to come here, because it will be a quite different and also very interesting perspective to touch the Chinese literature. So, before the lectures, I will give you only 2 minutes of presentations, okay, through the film, to let you know quite very focused about what is Yi-Ching, the Chinese book of changes, okay?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I was invited by Professor Huang to give talks in Yi-Ching, or Book of Changes. My title for this talk is A Brief Introduction and Insights with Applications in Change Management. Initially, I was kind of reluctant because although I gave many talks in this subject, but all in Chinese. This is the first time I taught this subject in English. However, I eventually accepted this challenge because I want to see if I could arouse just a little bit interest in you to this book. Because this is such a difficult subject, but that's why I say it will be, for me, it's considered a great success, if just a little bit of interest. Before I go on, I want to ask you a question. Have you ever heard of this book, Book of Changes, or Yi-Ching, before Professor Huang introduced it to you? Please raise your hand. Any of you heard of this book? Never. Okay. That's not a big surprise. Okay, frankly. Okay. From my personal experience, I've been teaching this book for more than 5 years, and my impression is 95%. They are all Chinese. Okay. 95% of them pretty much think this is a book for feng shui or for fortune telling. Okay, that's their perception. Rarely I run into a person and say, hey, this is a book of philosophy or something, or of usefulness in daily life, or even in management. It's even less. Okay. Okay. This slide, I said, this book can be claimed this way. The most XXXX book. It's 4X, not 3X. Okay. You can substitute the X with these. Yeah, okay. Yeah, you can substitute the X's with fascinating, concise, difficult, misunderstood, stimulating, structured. The most fascinating book. Personally, I like the first one the most. It's the most fascinating, but the authors claim, I think it's true, if you get into the book and really understand it. I will explain some of them later on, okay, why it is called the most difficult book, or why it is the most concise book. I will explain that later. Actually, there are more. For example, this is the oldest book, right? It's more than 3,000 years ago already exists. Think about it, 3,000 years ago. also could be, say, most interesting book. Anyway, this I say you can claim this. Actually, you can think of anything, you can probably plug into it. Okay? I'll give a brief, very brief introduction of this book. The book's name in Chinese is just two characters. Yi-Ching. Okay? Oh, sorry. Yi-Ching, two characters. For now, I will use Yi-Ching and the Book of Changes interchangeably. They are equivalent. The first character, Yi, means changes. The second character, Ying, means scriptures. And this version of Yi-Ching actually is not the first one created in China. Before this version, currently we're talking about, there are two more earlier versions, but those versions are long lost. Long lost. Okay, they are lost maybe 2,000 years ago already. We barely know anything about it, but we know the names. So this version actually created at the time of Zhou dynasty. Therefore, it's sometimes called Yi-Ching of Zhou, okay, to differentiate it from the previous two versions. Very simple description of this book. It is a carefully edited collection of rules which shows how things will change, and that's why it's called the Book of Changes. Describe how things will change. And these rules are written in the form of cause and effect. And hence, it can be used to predict the future. Because if you have this cause, you will get this effect. That's the rules in this book, is the form it is written that way. And of course, you can also use to change the course of development. Things would, if you want to nurture the things to your favor, you can also apply those rules. Okay. I'll explain a little bit about the book, why it is called the most difficult book to read. Actually, the book itself only contains 6,000 words. Only 6,000 words. Okay, not many words, only 6,000 words. The difficulty really arises from the way it is written. Okay, the way it's written makes it very difficult to understand if you don't know the right way to read it. However, it survived the test of time. 3,000 years, it's still being written, right? So these two things seem so contradictory. It's very difficult to read, but it survived the test of time. Therefore, I conclude there must be some value in this book to make it, to how it survived the time. Okay, so there's some value if you can somehow understand it. Okay. Let me say this. Would you be curious to know, like, what, from Yi-Ching's perspective, about Nokia's failure, right? Today we're going to discuss Nokia's failure. How does ancient books say or about this problem? Okay, do they 3,000 years ago can perceive similar failures? Won't you be curious? Okay, we'll talk that later in this class. Next one. The most concise book ever written. I said it's only 6,000 characters. You remove all the explanations, all the annotations. The scripture itself only 6,000 characters. Okay, and in this book it has 64 oracles. So if you divide the 6,000 by 64, each oracle is described around 90 characters. And each oracle is designed to describe one kind of problem in great depth. It sounds contradictory, right? How could you use this 90 character to describe something in great depth? It seems contradictory. However, that's how they did it. And that's also part of the difficulty that arises, and this is why it's called most concise book. Here I say the conciseness is achieved by multiple layers of abstraction and encoding. Multiple levels, okay. Some scholars estimate the compression ratio is more than 100%, 100 times. So if 90 times 100 is 9,000. So they use 90 words to describe something. You really need about 9,000 words to fully describe it. Okay, amazing, isn't it? Next, I want to ask another question to discuss. Any of you heard of the term expert system? If you do, please raise your hand. Expert system.
System of artificial intelligence.
Can you speak a little bit louder?
You mean expert system
Yes,
of artificial intelligence?
that's right. Yeah, okay. Good.
Only one person know expert system? Or heard about expert system? I'm surprised. So have you used Google?
Yes.
That's expert system. You got it?
Okay, yeah. Dr. Chan said, for example, Google, for example, when you do search, the search engine has some knowledge built in there. They will search, say, from your browsing history or from your location. They will take things into consideration and give you the result that's relevant to you. Okay, it's not a blinding search. So, expert system is capture an expert knowledge into the system, into a software system, and make it perform like an expert. Okay, so it's artificial intelligence, a branch in artificial intelligence. It's right. Okay. Actually, many of the current software trying to incorporate as much intelligence into it, right? So, for example, Apple, Tesla, Google, all are trying to develop the car that can drive itself, right? So the system must be able to capture a driver's way of look at the things or avoiding danger or all the conditions has to be captured into the system. Here's a diagram about an expert system. Here's an expert. His knowledge is captured into a knowledge base, and inside the center of the system has an inference engine, and it also has a user interface, so user can query the system and get advice from the system. When the inference engine got a query, it will try to find the matching thing in the knowledge database and give you the expert's advice back to you. Think about it. Another more intuitive example is in a physician system. For example, this system actually is a software, and it will behave like a doctor. When you tell it, say, oh, this guy had cough, had fever, runny nose, input to the user interface, query say, hey, what kind of disease I have or what kind of treatment I should do. The inference engine will search the knowledge database and give you the advice, say, hey, you looks like have flu or something. But of course, to do more, the next step maybe to further diagnose it, it will probably ask you how long this symptom being, or do you have stomach ache or something else. Okay, to narrow down the possibility and eventually will give you advice. Just behave like an expert, right? Just like behave like a true doctor. Why I'm saying this? Remember, I said I-Ching is a collection of human behavior rules, or in a sense, it's knowledge. Okay? And when you query something in that domain, you can find answers. Okay? Next. So I claim, this is my claim, okay. You probably couldn't find this claim any other place. Because when I prepared this, I suddenly realized I-Ching is probably the earliest expert system in human history, 3,000 years ago. 3,000 years ago. This is already, okay. Yeah, pretty much, you can imagine, there's no computer exists, but a person familiar with all those rules, right, it will behave, when you ask, query this person, he can find the matching I-Ching rules and tell you the verdict. It's behaved like an expert system. Okay. This is an example of rule, a very famous rule here, by Albert Einstein. E equal mc squared. You notice when I have an abstract formula like this, each of the symbol has a specific meaning. E here means energy, M means mass, C is light speed. So if you know the mass, you can calculate the energy, and vice versa. If you know the amount of energy, you can find out what's the equivalent mass. This is how a rule works. And then how I-Ching's rule works, pretty similar. I jump to the rule form first. The rule in I-Ching pretty much has this form. If condition A plus B plus C is satisfied, then you will get a verdict B. Here I list a few examples of verdicts in this kind of rule. For example, good fortune, misfortune, remorse, humiliation, prosperity, profitable, danger, blame. At least just a subset of all the verdicts. So you do something like this, or you find some condition satisfied, the I-Ching will tell you you probably get this V. So it's a formula. It's a logical rule, basically. Okay, you do cause and effect, cause and effect. Okay, I will jump to.
It's just curious that So far, so good. Anyone has question on this correlation between the I-Ching and expert system? Because expert system really, everybody is carrying several expert systems every day in your smartphone. Okay, if you have a smartphone, you are carrying at least 3 or 5 expert system.
Yeah.
And so we try to use that example to correlate to the I-Ching, and hopefully we'll make the connection to help you understand this this book.
Any questions so far? Okay. Here I say 448 human behavior rules extracted. I'll emphasize one more time. I-Ching is focused on human behavior. Okay, it's not focused on, say, scientific things. Okay, it's a human behavior rules. The number, how I arrive at this number, it's very simple math. Each oracle has 6 lines, okay, also called Yao, okay? So, and each line has some text associated with it. It's basically a rule. So 6 times 64, you get 384 rules. And each of the oracle itself is a big rule. So you have 64 of those. And you add those two numbers together. 384 plus 64, you get this 448 rules. This is just an estimation. Some of the description contain actually more than 1 rules. So 448 is just a rough estimation. Okay. Next. I want to jump few slides. I want to jump to this first. The original purpose of I-Ching, what was originally designed for? Historically, I-Ching and its predecessors were used as the handbook for divination. Right? In ancient time, people do divination. So when you want to know something, you can do a divination and will get a rule and say, hey, this condition satisfied, you'll get fortune or misfortune, something like that. Will help you make decisions. Secondly, this book originally written by this emperor called Zhou Wenwang. It's an emperor of Zhou. He wanted to actually eliminate superstition nature from the mainstream culture. He cleverly substituted its predecessor with rational rules. Okay, this is a very major thing in history, Chinese history, because the predecessors are very superstitious nature. This one, the I-Ching of Zhou, or today, the Book of Change, contains little or no superstitions in it. It's a major accomplishment. Consider the Western culture has to wait until probably 13th or 14th century starting to do that. So this guy does it like more than 1,500 years earlier. Okay, so in the end, I-Ching has become a book of survival. Why? Because it will tell you what the fortune actually means. You have a better chance to survive. Misfortune means you have less chance to survive. Okay, simply like that. Okay, the moral standard is based on survivability. Okay, so that's how they give you advice. Next, I go back once these slides here. Okay. The usage of Yi-Ching in ancient time. So when in ancient time, emperor want to make a major decision, he would consult the following people: himself, his counselors, what the average people would think, and will do at least 3 times of divination to see the will of God. Okay. This actually, nowadays, people may say what the market says, right? The mass is the market, and the elite, and the leader himself. All
Yeah, I think let me ask some question here. So how many people have worked in the industry? Raise your hand. Have you worked for any company before? Okay, which company?
IT company.
Which company?
IT company.
Based in
Thailand.
Thailand. What's the name for the company? You forgot? That's okay. Thailand company, Thailand IT company.
It's not Thailand company, but it's in Thailand.
Oh, which is an international company?
Yes.
How about you? Which company? Yeah.
I'm in the chemical engineering field.
So which company you worked before?
And
Nan.
I currently in a job.
Oh,
Yes.
what's the company name?
Yi-Ching.
This Changrong. Changrong is a shipping.
No,
No.
chemical engineering.
Oh, chemical engineer. Okay, okay. So let's use that company as a chemical company.
Chemical.
Okay, and they want to make some acquisition. Okay, and buy some company. And what do they do normally? They will talk to their employee, probably not, right? They will talk to their investor, probably not. But who they talk to? They will hire the McKinsey. They will hire some consulting firm, and to get some experts, feedback. Also, they will talk to some key customer to figure out which new segment, new market they can get into and make more money, has a better growth opportunity, right? This is a typical process, people making merger acquisition decision. Right? So this is similar, right? If you look at that himself, maybe it's a management team, the CEO, CFO, and all the company start with all the manager with a C. Counselor can be maybe the board, right? But not all the investor. The average people can be the market, right? Yeah. And three guy, maybe they hire 2 consulting firm because they want to see a different view. So this is exactly the process. People are making tough decisions. 3,000 years, almost 4,000 years ago, they are following through.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay, so this is really nothing new. Very similar to the process we have. So then the question now is, have we made any progress in making decisions? Not much, right? Instead of going for Yi-Ching, they're spending $2 million, hire the consulting firm, and ask them to make a decision for them.
Okay?
Okay, good.
Thank you. Okay. Next, I'm going to show you a little bit about the specific nature of this book. And the philosophy of Yi-Ching. First, I mentioned earlier, the highest moral standard in Yi-Ching favors survivorship. Okay? It doesn't favor some more abstract things. This is survivorship. Fortune and misfortune are determined by this moral standard. However, the Yi-Ching does praise those who do the right thing regardless of the danger to oneself. So they do praise such people, okay? They're not just pure survivorship. So they also praise people who to do this right thing. Induction is the method used in formulating rules in I-Ching. Basically, they observe human behavior for a long time or accumulated this such information over probably the previous few thousand years. So they come to the conclusion such human behavior can be formulated. Its philosophy is not idealism nor materialism, probably better called practicalism. Okay? So they actually, some of them are idealism, some of them are materialism. Okay, so it's combine those, and it has a practical flavor because it's survivorship. Although it's designed for divination, ironically, the content of it has little or no religious inclination. It's human-centric and this world-centric. Okay, so it's okay. Any question? No, because this is yes.
Actually, I'm just curious if there's any conflict between the survivorship and right thing to do, the ethical. Is there any example like that? Which one take first?
Okay, good question. I'll give you a very good example. Okay, there's an oracle called flee. Okay, when you run into a situation you don't like, you flee away. Then one of the rules says, because you are bonded, you cannot get away because you have some responsibility you have to fulfill, so you cannot get away. See? So conflict exists in human life, right? So, and that responsibility, you consider the right thing to do, right? In that situation, you can choose, say, hey, I run away or I stay to fulfill my responsibility. Okay, but choice is yours. Choice is yours. That particular line only have like 7 characters. Okay, and a good example is like Jesus Christ. He probably can run away instead of being nailed on the cross, right? Because he wants to do something to save the sin of normal people. He has to die. Okay, similar. Next. Yeah, that's a very good question. Okay, even when I taught this I-Ching to our Chinese classmates, sometimes they feel, say, are we too practical oriented? I would tell them, hey, the choice is yours. Okay, the choice is yours. You can choose this or choose to do the right thing. It didn't tell you you have to do this. Okay. This is also very, very important, okay? It promotes multi-dimensional thinking. Multi-dimensional thinking. This multi-dimensional thinking is the key feature that built into this book. All the oracles have some connection to each other, okay? And so sometimes you need to read this oracle and read it in the reverse way, which become a different oracle because you change the order, but the same thing you just turn around, okay? Then you get different perspective. It not only covers the time, space changes, but also viewpoint changes. Okay? So this is very important. Here I listed 3 common viewpoint changes. Same situation, just look from the opposite side. Okay? People tends to look from this side, only this my side. You want to look from your enemy's side too. What would they think? From a current point extension point of view, if I'm standing here, then I can step one step further. What change would be? Okay, I leave my current position one step, what it will be. Okay, we will tell you. The third one, from a complementary point of view, totally different point of view. For example, a man's point of view changes to a woman's point of view. Okay? This is called complementary point of view. It should be quite different. Okay? So, why I say this is very important in, say, management? When you run into a complex problem, you want to examine the possibility many ways, and also help you avoid some pitfalls later. Okay?
So, Tien, yeah. So let me jump in. So how many people here have done the product development? Have you get involved into the product development cycle before? Raise your hand. Have you developed any product? No? So you are in the...
Including the marketing?
Yeah, any early stage of defining the marketing, defining the product. Not hands-on development, but new project, right? You do? Okay, great. So how do you, when you stand up and make a presentation, right? And your management team will ask you, so what are the risks associated with this new idea, new product? Right? You will have to come out somewhere. Right? Otherwise, they say you didn't think it through. Right? So this is a multi-dimensional thinking you can apply. Because if you just follow whatever the book, whatever they teach you, you miss something. This allows you to think very differently. Like from the opposite side, you may think, okay, if I'm the Apple, right? What are my customers are looking at me? What do they expect me to deliver? I mean Apple, right? I'm Steve Jobs' company, so people feel that you have to make your product so smooth, cannot have any glitch. Right? At the same time, and from the complementary point of view, you have to think about, well, what are the other music industry players? How I can work with them to build out a synergy, so I can provide better service. So all these things are kind of a multi-dimensional thinking that this book trying to teach you. Okay. So I just try to connect some real example you are dealing with today to this slide, so you know when Mr. Ying say this is a most interesting point. Now you can get a rough idea.
We'll do that later when
Okay.
Can you give us some example about compare the single
yeah, that's what I'm going to say. When we discuss the Nokia thing, we'll show you, okay? Yeah, how to apply this kind of method. Okay.
So maybe you want to jump to that earlier, because okay, let's continue.
Okay. Anyway, just keep in mind, this multi-dimensional thinking is, I think, the most beneficial to study this book. Okay. Next. I did a little chart to compare the difference between Western philosophies and I-Ching's philosophy into 5 categories. First, the logic. I-Ching uses intuitive logic. Western probably use very precise mathematical kind of logic. Created by induction only, Western use induction and deduction. Okay, there's a difference. I-Ching doesn't do deduction. Subjects, mainly human behavior in I-Ching. Western philosophies cover more things. The style, also very different. The I-Ching use symbolic images, okay, images. Their words, their description actually are images. Describe a little picture in their words, okay? So the words are actually describing images.
So,
Because,
you compare the different philosophy about I-Ching and the Western philosophy. Do you think there's a different influences about I-Ching and Western to the human life today?
didn't get the last sentence.
Do you think that there is a different influence between I-Ching philosophy and the Western philosophy to the human life today?
They do, actually they do. Both are very influential in a different way, okay? It's very difficult to describe very shortly, okay? But to answer your question, yes, they have influenced the Chinese culture more than 3,000 years.
But I think the last point, religion-free and religion-centric, that's to me that's very key. Because I'm a Christian, there's a Bible, but I feel that for the Chinese, the book of Tien is a Chinese Bible. Okay, the Chinese Bible didn't mean that it's religion. It's the Bible it's just like you talk to Jewish, you know that the Old Testament consists of all kind of rules, all kind of story to tell you how to live your life. Okay, the New Testament is different, but the Old Testament really consists of lots and lots of rules, lots and lots of story, but it's a Jewish. Okay, it's religion centric. The Book of Tien is very different. So to me, that's the if you ask about the influence, I think this really have a more broader influence because it's religion free. Okay.
To give you one sentence to answer your question, all the thoughts, school of thoughts in China influenced by the Book of Tien. All, like Confucius, Taoism, all from this, okay? So the influence is very substantial and very basic.
So you know Confucius, right?
Yeah.
You know? Okay, he's an old guy, a very famous guy, right?
But still, since the subject is the human behavior,
Right.
and the human behavior sometimes can change dramatically in last year or last decade, and I think this two philosophy will still complement each other, right? Because I don't know how to say that. Because if we relate to the human behavior, it's always changing the human behavior itself. So how can the ancient philosophy can influence the current human behavior itself? Because the condition itself in the environment and we born in this kind of condition, economic condition in a certain country, something like that, it will always influence our human behavior. So, I don't know, how...
Okay, let me answer your question. It's a good question, okay? It doesn't cover all human behavior, okay? Understand? But it has limitation. But the rule extracted or recorded in this book is the things not changing very much over 3,000 years. Those rules cover certain non-changing characteristics of human behavior. It's not covering all human behavior. Okay, you see the difference? Okay,
Yeah.
So the area it covers is pretty accurate. That's what I'm saying. The area some of the area they don't cover. I think that's part of your concern. Okay. Yeah, this is very significant. The last one, the religion. if you know more about Chinese culture, the mainstream thoughts are pretty much religious free. Okay, you saw a lot of temples, Buddhas. That's not the mainstream. Mainstream is Confucius. Confucius is not considered a religion, and because of Yi-Ching. Okay. And most Western culture has some religious flavor. Look at your notes, the money. You won't find, say, "In God we trust," such words in Chinese notes. Neither in Taiwan nor in China. Their notes doesn't have religious remarks. Okay, next one. I think I'll skip this one. When do we break? 8. 8. Still early. Next, I'm gonna talk a little bit about the structure. Okay, how it looks like. First thing I want to mention here is symbols. You see, this is I got it from Dan Brown's book, The Lost Symbols. Okay, in that book, talks a lot about symbols, and here are most of them are Western symbols. But look at here. Here's the Tai Chi symbol, right? So actually, a collection of symbols you probably see in your daily life. How about Yi-Ching's symbols? Okay, let's take a look. Okay, here are the Yi-Ching symbols. I'll explain a little bit. First, here I have 8 trigrams or bagua, okay? And it represents 8 different elements in nature. To do a comparison, Western have these 4 elements of air, earth, water, and fire. The 8 elements in I-Ching add 4 more. The mountain, the lake, the thunder, and the earth. The earth already have the wind. Okay, thunder and wind. Because they have more, so their combination has more too, right? The oracle, each oracle is oracle, or called hexagram, is 2 trigrams stacked together. So they have 6 lines instead of just 3 lines. So you have 6 lines. Then you 8 times 8, you have 64 combinations of oracles. And I said line. I go back a little bit. These are the line. Only have two different lines. Solid line or broken line. 0, 1. Okay? It's a binary. In I-Ching based on binary system. Binary number system. 0 and 1. 0 and 1. Okay? And with 3 lines, you do the math. 2 to the 3 times is 8, right? So all the combination of this showed up. Then 8 stack up becomes 64. That part is not full binary. It's only, I think, yeah, it is full binary, okay? 2 to the 6 times is 64, right? So it's a binary system based. Some people say computer arise from this kind of system, but I would say it's a coincidence.
Professor, which one is the oracle?
Oracle, not yet. Okay, this is only Bagua, right? Oracle is the next one. If you stack each oracles are constituted with 2 trigrams stack up one upon another. 2, so it becomes 6 lines. 6 lines is, I show you, okay. Down here, this is oracle. 6 lines, right? But you can look at, this is one of the trigrams, this is another trigram. The 2 stack up become 1 oracle.
So the top trigram is the lake, and the bottom one is the water.
So this is lake, this is water.
So can you imagine that the lake is on top of the water? What does that mean?
Okay.
These were difficult to read.
Well, could give you a quick impression. Lake on top of water, probably that lake is empty. Okay, it's an empty lake pretty much. The water is all went down. It's a dry lake. This article basically is a dry lake. So dry lake means being bounded. You cannot move. You are stranded. Right? Suppose you are a boat in the lake, then you cannot move. Or you are an animal living the lake, you are suffering, okay, of no water. Anyway, so this is this kind of 6 line, only 0 and 1 is constitute 1 oracle. So this book of changes have 64 of this such pictures, such symbols, okay? These are symbols, symbolic meaning, symbol. So if you study, sometimes when you saw this, you will know what that's supposed to mean. You should, okay, you should say, oh, this is water on a lake on top, water, and all the water are gone, I'm drying to death or something. It's a difficult situation.
How you decide which diagram will do the below one or the upper one?
All the combination exist. Okay, there are 64 of this. So if you reverse it, become a different. If you move this on top of this, it become a different oracle. You see, it become a different oracle. Again, that's one of the technique we say multi-dimensional thinking. You use the same element. These are the elements. If you change order, it changes to something different, right? And you can analysis from that point of view. Okay, this is just one good example of.
So just imagine that 3,000 years ago, at night there is no TV, there is no book to read, only a fireplace. Okay. And people sitting there, and your parent is telling you an oracle, and tonight's story is the dry lake. Okay, and they will go to each one of them and try to give you some wisdom, but with an interesting story behind that. Okay, and so this is kind of the learning people are having more than 3,000, 4,000 years ago. Okay, you got a rough idea? What do they do? They have no TV, no iPhone.
So it's not.
They could go to bed early. They have to have something. That's entertainment. Okay.
It's a bit hard. Okay, but anyway, it's a theory. Okay, people do this to learn this, to entertain themselves. But
Is there any 2 diagrams, two same diagrams that combine and make an oracle?
right.
Like lake and lake, water and water.
Oh yeah.
any combination is good, okay?
It's the meaning is that over there.
Yeah, well, that, see, okay. I'll go back one more, a few slides, I'll show you why. I'll show you. Okay, I'll use this first, okay. This slide is also key, okay? The Yi-Ching use words to describe images or pictures. And you have to interpret this picture into some kind of message. Like I said, water, lake on top of water. See, you have to interpret that almost not probable picture into some kind of message. You say, hey, you are stranded, or you are in difficult situation. Okay, see, each of this has a quantum jump, sort of. Okay, that's why I said this is the most difficult book to read. When you say lake on top of lake, what that's supposed to mean, right? Or sky on top of sky. It actually, okay. I have to say a little bit more back to this. Each of these 8 elements have more than one symbolic meaning, okay? For example, lake. This is the lake.
The left one. Left.
This one.
Yeah.
This is the lake. Right? This is the lake. Lake also means in human behavior means you are happy. Happy. Okay? Okay. In a family structure means the third daughter. Okay, there are the eight diagrams have father, mother, and 3 boys and 3 daughters. 3 sons and 3 daughters. Okay, this is the third daughter. This is the first daughter. You see the broken line is here. This is the first daughter. This is the second daughter. This is the third daughter, right? And the solid line is male. So the first son, second son, and third son. Okay, so they use multiple, you remember I said earlier, they use multiple abstraction, layer of abstraction. Initially, male, female. Male, female. Then become a family structure. Or the elements in the nature. Okay, see, and also human behavior. Okay, this means happy. This means do you know how to follow the trend? Okay, follow the trend. This means danger. Okay, water means danger. You see, this is like Chinese capital water. If you know Chinese, okay. So each of this has multiple symbolic meaning, not just say water or just sky. Okay, the sky is also father or strong will. This is a very strong will. The mother means the earth, but also means the path, the road. Okay, what's the right way to go? Being on the ground, you have ways, correct ways. Okay, so that's how they build up their symbolic meaning. Then you stack any 2 of this together, you form a different oracle.
So when you go out for picnic and you are fishing on the lake, what do you feel? Happy, right? Because it's not in the ocean, so no danger. And also there are plenty of fish in the lake. So you know you have a good dinner. So that's why you feel happy. So this is a interesting way to connect many things together. And but because the Asian people, they really don't have iPhone, they don't have look at iPad every day. So they look at the nature, they observe, and they find out that, oh, lake, actually people on the lake always smile. unless they don't know how to swim.
Any more questions?
Professor, everyone is freely interpret this symbolic by themselves?
Excuse me?
Everyone, all of us can freely interpret the symbols by ourselves, or there's
There are,
authority to...
no, there are, you cannot freely interpret, okay? There are, okay, like I said, it's intuitive. You have to imagine why those lake on top water means that. There's some, you need to jump somehow, okay? Use your imagination intuitively, okay? It's not mathematic logic. Remember I said? It's not mathematic logic. It's intuitive, logical. It's still logical, okay? But you have to find the right way to interpret. That's the difficulty arises. I say that again. Why it's the most difficult book? Because you cannot freely interpret. You have to use the right way to interpret.
So
Otherwise,
so we have the authority to interpret those symbols.
okay, yes, I know.
The wise men, like us. No, I'm just teasing.
Once you study and you are getting to know gradually, okay, how to interpret, okay, many of my classmates knows this is a learning process. There's a learning curve, pretty steep learning curve. But, yes,
I want to know what kind of situation you will use the bagua to separate the people's behavior. What kind of situation you will use bagua to...
okay, okay, I'll go back to the example, okay. Remember I said, why I choose this.
What's the question?
Oh, okay, the question is, how do you use bagua to separate human behavior?
What kind of situation you will...
Yeah, what kind of situation you use? Okay. There are 64 of them, remember? There are 64 rules. For example, I choose this one because this one I consider one of the most useful oracle you can use. Okay, one of the most useful. What is it? This is called 混话, okay, or in English, being bonded. Hey, everybody have run into this situation. You're being bonded, right? You're being bonded, say, I don't want to take this class, but you have to come here. This is not a very good example. I'll give you a better example. Some people, for example, a doctor. Many people want to be a doctor because doctor makes a lot of money, right?
Yes.
Right? But doctor also is a tough job. Yeah, you need to work long hours. And if you work too hard, you will hurt yourself, right? But how can you get out of that situation? See, you are bounded. You're bounded by so-called golden cuffs, right? You like the money, but you don't like the work. Hey, okay, how can you get out of this situation?
So let me give you an example. Anyone here didn't?
Yeah, you have a personal example.
Anyone had buy or sell stocks?
We can do it right away, okay?
Anyone?
You have bonded situation, or you know someone being bonded,
Yeah.
cannot get out of it, even he want to, he couldn't.
So let me give you the example that let's say that if I'm trying to buy or sell stocks in the market, the typical rule is I should sell high and buy low, and I should not be greedy. Okay, if I can follow these two rules, I should be okay. But then I have to pay tax. Okay, but that's a secondary issue. So that's a simple rule. But what happens if you are using this oracle to give you some wisdom? How do you deal with the stock market? Okay, so if you put yourself into this environment and let Tien go through this example.
Question. Any bonded situation can you describe any? Hey, everybody run into bonded situation almost daily, I can tell you, right? Yeah. Okay, say one. You know, come on.
To get some with people in the job, you know, if you kind of like don't like your job, but you have to explore your family, you have to get out.
Right. Okay. That's pretty much like the doctor's case. Well, a doctor's case is even more severe than you like the money, but you don't like the effort you use all the time. You no free time, right? You want to go on vacation, but you cannot do it freely. So what would you do to get out of it?
I guess usually you just keep looking for something else. You keep working on your current job and then try to find something better. You can improve your skills and find some other opportunity.
Frankly, your situation is not tough enough. Okay, I go back to my original case. It's tougher than yours because the doctor almost working to death, right? It's the term they say you explode your liver, right? You're working too hard, you explode your liver. How can such a person get out of the situation? Anybody suggestion? Then I'll tell you how Yi-Ching says.
Find a wealthy wife.
That's not easy either, right?
A wealthy nurse.
Wealthy nurse, you probably bonded by her later on. Right? See, I'm telling you, this happens every day, every move you do, okay? But what the doctor would do to get out of that situation? Okay, I'll give you some example. Some of the wiser doctor would say, oh, okay, I'm killing myself, so I decided I only work 4-day week. I take Wednesday off, no matter what, okay? Right, to relieve the pressure on himself, right? I don't need all that money. I need enough money to live is better than die right now. Die quickly, see? Reasonable? But it's still a hard decision, right? Because money has very strong attraction. Okay, you make your mind, you lose your mind over money. Okay, what the Yi-Ching would suggest. It's this one, the nine, the yang. The nine means yang, the solid line at the second position. See this? Okay, the second position, yang. Okay, the solid line at the second. Here are the advice to solve this situation. It says you are bounded by your life. Okay, you're bounded by your life. You just get your, you just got your raise or got your new offer, higher position offer, right? Then how can you get out of it? Right? If you just get a great offer to a higher position, it says, it is profitable for one to offer sacrifice to set forth spring misfortune, otherwise no gain. Okay, the words is kind of jumbled, but key words is here. It is profitable for one to offer sacrifice. Means you to pray. You do some pray to what? These are symbols, I'm telling you. Symbols. Pray is just a picture and a symbol. The symbolic message is you want to let go yourself. You want to empty your own desire to look at the true situation and come to the correct conclusion, right? You don't want to be biased by the money or by the offer. You want to true to yourself. That's the message. Not really go to a temple. Okay, this is. You see, you need to do this jump to understand this. See, if the doctor one night, lie down, midnight, only by himself, think his own situation through open-mindedly, he will come to the conclusion, why should I work so hard?
No, I think you first have to convince your wife.
Well, yeah, I say, hey, you want me to die or what?
Yeah, well, maybe she wants you to die.
Then you find just figure out with different solution here now, okay? See, they tell you, they use a kind of strange way. They tell you, hey, you pray and let go of your own thoughts. When you do pray, you want to say communicate with God, right? So yourself is gone. That's the key message.
If I were the doctor and I got this particular line, and I look around and say, well, I know the first person I need to convince is my wife. I'm going to convince her to go to church every week with me. Okay? Because in the church, then you are relaxing and also you are talking to God. And so suddenly, hopefully she will think differently. If she is the one keep on pushing me to make more money, then hopefully going to church, then I can convince her. Okay, I'm just reading this line and I say, that's the way I would do. Okay. So again, this is just give you idea how to deal with the situation. Otherwise, you look at this and say, how do I convince my wife? Go to the temple and pray? Right? No, you have to think differently. So this doesn't tell you exactly what to do, but give you some ideas.
Okay. Any other on this situation you want to resolve? I give you one more. I like this one particular. Okay, this is kind of simple, but actually happens all the time also. It says, okay, the yang add the fourth. 1, 2, 3, 4. The counting is from bottom up, okay? Counting is from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Not top down, because things, you have to imagine things are growing with time, okay? This has timing built into this oracle too. This is in the beginning, this is in the end. So that's how I said before, time and space. This is the beginning of this situation, this is the end of the situation, and each position is space. You are at this kind of location. So space and time. Space and time. Imagine change, all change need time, right? So things change with time. Then at 4 is a yang at the 4. This is dotted line is yang. He comes slowly, being bounded in a golden carriage. Humiliation is the verdict, but the end can be reached. What is supposed to mean? Okay, think about images. Okay, first, the image says there is a golden carriage. Come slowly, moving slowly. The golden carriage is a key word. You are sitting in that golden carriage, bounded by that golden carriage. What's that supposed to mean? Golden, this gold, it truly is gold. It means something to do with your wealth. Again, you are bounded by a golden carriage. Why? Golden carriage also means something. It will move. You are carried by a golden carriage So your life, really, this is saying your life has been pretty good because you're carrying by a golden carriage up to this point. However, you're also bounded by that golden carriage. Remember? You are also bounded by. You understand what I say? Okay, can you explain to the class? It doesn't matter. Okay.
Yes, like carriage, that's our life. Our life is different. Each of us is different, but it gives us abounded because of this life.
Right.
Yeah, I think like that.
Okay. It's more of say, for example, your knowledge is your golden carriage. If you, right? It's one kind of your golden carriage. If you have a very useful knowledge, it will carry you to a certain position and making a lot of money, right? Or you have some talent, right? That's your golden carriage. But somehow you're also bounded by that because it's so important to you. You want to get out of that is kind of difficult.
Anything that we have in life is also
Right.
bounded us.
Right, so you're bounded. It's your, actually, going a little bit deeper, it's your training, your culture is also your golden carriage. You can see that? It's your religion too. Okay, right? You benefit from it, but it also bounds you. It's very difficult for you to get out of that carriage. Okay, but sometimes you have to because that thing will hinder you to solve certain problems.
But what it means with the humiliation, what is the relation with the humiliation?
Okay, because you couldn't get out of this, you're moving slowly, see? You're not moving fast enough, so somehow you cannot break that golden carriage. The golden means two things. One is made of gold. Also, it means it's very tough to break. It's made of metal, right? Very tough to break. And it's moving slowly, come slowly. That's why you'll get stimulation. But if you keep moving, in the end, you can reach it. If you stop moving, you cannot break it.
Can I interpret like if we were old, means like we already have all experience during our life. So we became a slow person, right?
Right.
But our end is near.
No, not your end is near. You are difficult to break your ideology. If sometimes you need to break that ideology or your customer or your learned knowledge, or you see, those are all the things carry you to this point, right? You treasure those things. It's very difficult to break. That's why it's made of metal.
So let's say that the year 2008, you graduate from MIT as an MBA or Harvard MBA, and that's your golden carriage. You have a Harvard MBA in your resume, but you couldn't find a job because the industry is dead. Nobody hiring in Wall Street, right? So it's humiliation. You feel that your talent is not appreciated. But if you stick around, even you go to New York as a waiter, okay, hang there, and the next day you may find a job in Wall Street because the economy recovered. So that's just the way I would interpret this line, that give you some hope. But if you really insist, persist, there's a way out.
Let me jump a little bit ahead. Think about the Nokia guy probably sitting in a golden carriage, right? Right? They made a huge amount of money. Market share was their previous. It's very difficult for them to break out, right? If they break out, they might change to something else. If they're not, they are humiliating, isn't it? Okay, so this is tell you have to again see this bounded, the oracle bounded. In the end, you will find it's the key is change your perspective, change yourself, then you can see different opportunities. Any others want to try? Find this situation? This okay. Let's back to this oracle. So you got some flavor how an oracle might work. Each of this position from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 it will show a different kind of abundant situation. The two I show you, number 2 is you're bounded by good life, by profit, you cannot give up, right? That's you're bounded by this. Then number 4 is you're bounded by a golden carriage. The things carry you to this point. You treasure very much. You depend on it very much. The other 4 positions are 4 different categories of situation. So if you read this, fully understand, it will tell you 6 ways to get out of the bounded situation. And remember the expert system, you want to choose the one that match yours, the situation you want to solve. That goes closely, right? You don't want to choose the wrong rule to solve it. Okay, so that's why I said earlier, it's like an expert system. There are 6 formulas here. 6 to solve 6 different situations of bounded. You are bounded by your greed. That's not number 2. You're bounded by your training, your background, that's number 9. Your habit, right? Okay? The 4 are other kinds of bounded situation. So that's an oracle about bounded. And actually tell you that this oracle about 100 words. It describes 6 different kinds of bounded situation and tell you the solution too. Remember, it has the solution built in. It tell you the cause and solution and 6 different kinds in just 100 words.
So Tien, let's say the Nokia.
Yes.
The CEO call you and Tien, I'm going to give you $1 million. Give me 1 oracle, right? And you got him this one. Okay. And how will you present to him?
Well, let the class do the presentation first. I will comment that later.
Okay.
Can we take a 10 minutes break? Okay.